Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tellin Tuesdays. With myself, Deirdre Ryan, I am a certified parent coach and I work with clients one on one, both online and in person in Cork City. I also host a range of talks and workshops and meetups. So if you are looking for support to be the parent you want to be, do get in touch. So today, with that in mind, I've decided to talk about the real importance of support. Um, I think it's near impossible to parent without support. I think it's hard to be a human without support. We are also interconnected. I, for most of my life, found it very hard to ask for support. I have found it very hard to receive support. I am 46 and still working on that with a real core inner belief, that I didn't deserve support or wasn't worthy of it, right? And also seeing asking for help or receiving support as a failure. So it's something that is ever present for me. And at the same time, I cannot parent without support. I do parent alone and have done for the past 14 years. And that has all of its own challenges. I am also autistic as well as my team, highly sensitive, right? So that has a whole other set of needs for myself. So support. So support looks like many things. It may look like journaling. It may look like doing yoga or qigong. It may look like taking a few deep breaths. It may look like dancing, cycling, running, laughing, meeting up with friends, um, anything really to connect and release the stress that we're all carrying. Um, so whatever it is, whether laughing, connecting, maybe it's what you're eating or not eating. Um, it's also things like getting takeaway if you can't cook. It's frozen food if you don't have the capacity that day, right? It's support is many different things, right? I think for me, the first step was always in acknowledging that I need it, that I'm still worthy of love and belonging if I need it and if I ask for it. I've had to learn how to ask for support. I've had to learn how to accept if someone says no because they can't do it in the moment. In the past, if I did reach out and someone said no, well, I just wouldn't ask for another few years. It just set me back so far. It made me feel worse than myself. But again, understanding that, like Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, he's really the premise is you can ask for help and someone can say yes or no. All right. So it is part of the process. But when you're afraid to ask, it's hard to receive a no. I also find it hard to receive a yes, right? So I just wanted to emphasize that, or it's reaching out to a parent coach, a therapist, a counselor. I work with lots of different healers myself and have done over the past 14 years and beyond, but very intensely over the past 14 years, so that I can parent from a new space with the new paradigm shift, from a more centered and a more regulated space, right? So I just want to say I think there still can be some stigma around receiving help or asking for help. And I would just love to give us all the freedom to be able to do that. Even reason of starting the Truth Telling Tuesday videos was to bring more authenticity and honesty into the conversation about being a parent, right? I met one parent whose child was 10, and I was the first person that they ever heard talk about any challenges or problems that one might occur in parenting, right? And I can guarantee it's not because the people they're around for the past 10 years weren't having those challenges, but a lot of us are afraid to be open and honest with them. And I completely understand that, right? So I have done a lot of my own internal work to get me to a place where I can see the value, and not even just the value, the necessity of making mistakes, the humanity of making mistakes. It's those two sides of the coin of learning. It's not a bad thing, or struggle is not a bad thing. It doesn't make us less. And I am talking to myself as well. It is part of the process, right? This is it. This is it. All of this is it. It's not, this is the path. I heard someone say once, it's not a diversion from the path, right? So last week, why support is so much on my mind this week is because last week I was having such a hard time. I had to reach out in 4 different ways, actually, to get support between last Tuesday and this Tuesday. It has been a very challenging week, and the biggest reason is I was exhausted. I was run down. Our little dear guinea pig of 10 years of age was sick and did pass away on Sunday. All right, so that's a lot to carry with the loss of pets. And yeah, so a mixture of all these things and holding all that space for my teen and, being able to support them. I then am run down and I had nothing left. And when I'm in that state, if I don't recognize it, I can become impatient, angry. Because when I get afraid or run down, it's an anger. It's the fight response. I can withdraw, as you have the freeze response. Right. So again, it's just my body, my neurobiology trying to protect itself, but it's not what I want to bring to my relationship in my family with my kiddo, and it just highlights it when I'm in these states, that need for rest, the need to really restore, to really come back into the moment and into presence and into my body. And to come out of those nervous system responses, to come back into that ventral vagal, that rest and digest where, we can connect, be curious, be open, and be present, really, So what happened was, so I was all those things that I was exhausted, and I went in and my teen was watching TV, and some days that's totally fine. But if I'm feeling distressed in some way, I went in and now I'm in a panic. Oh my gosh, we're going to watch a TV and this TV and we're going to do other things and lots of judgment. And again, the next day I could be like, great, what are you watching? Let's sit down and watch together. So it's not about the thing, right? It's about the state that I'm in. And I could have put that in a newsletter, lovely little meme from another parent. It really is about me. My reaction is about me. It's really not about the thing. That's just the basic. And the more we can come into ourselves and be aware of that, the faster things will change in your relationship with your kids, with yourself, partners, friends, right? And it's just that. It's taking that ownership and without shame, without judgment. So I completely overreacted to a situation because I was just playing out my internal feelings and I was putting them outside of me, because sometimes it's easier, it's hard sometimes. It is hard, but it's hard to sit with a feeling or to really feel sadness, loss, grief, pain, anger, right? And sometimes, and especially if it wasn't modeled for us, our reaction may be to just throw it, somewhere else. It's almost like hot potato, I don't want it, so here, you can have it. So, and in doing the repair work then, because that's what we do. So yeah, I overreacted. And then we sat down very soon after and did some repair on what had happened. But what really came to light was my kids said when they're watching TV and I come in, their body tenses, right? Because they don't know how I'm going to be around it, right? Because obviously I have a lot of judgment and shame around TV watching, or, it's like, oh, so we should be reading and running and doing art and doing whatever it is. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just a shame trigger for me. And, but that when my kid had like just the absolute courage and presence to say that to me, I know that reaction myself from being a child, from tensing and not knowing what's going to happen. And it is absolutely not what I want to bring into my own parenting. So I said, okay, and I said straight up, it's not okay. It's not on you to feel that way. Don't, this isn't okay, that the energy that's coming into the room is causing you to really go into like a protective response. And I said, leave it with me. This is mine. This is mine to unpick. This is mine to figure out. And I will, So I started to reach out, and in different ways. With one friend, we do a lot of voice messaging back and forth, which is actually a really great space. We both enjoy it. So it's mutual, and we get to interact in each other's lives this way. But also when you're doing a voice message, you're just getting to speak. Right. And you're just speaking, and you have that space to sort of ramble through your thoughts, to say whatever's coming up. With my friend and I who share this space, we are very open and honest with each other, and it's a very safe and healing space. So I was able to, talk through this and talk through the feelings I was having, and talk through my own experience as a child with these feelings and where it's still stuck in me. And as I was talking, I was like, right, I need a visual, so I'm just talking to myself. I know it's going to be witnessed by my friend, It's as a talking witness space that I use a lot in my life. And this is one where it's through a voice message. So this is a huge support. This is a huge, huge support for me. So I'm doing that. And while I was talking, I was like, I need a visual at that door, just to remind myself, to check in with myself, to see, what am I going to bring in? Do you know what I mean? And what I decided to do was I made myself a little traffic light. Now, I personally love traffic lights. I have always loved traffic lights. I think they're beautiful. I think they're eloquent. I think they're simple, and they have such a profound impact, right? These few little colors, of course, it's not perfect because all humans make mistakes, but for the most part, we will stop at a red light, we'll go at a green light, right? So I think, so me personally, I've always loved traffic lights. So that's probably why the image of the traffic light came in. It's not any type of, not a zone of regulation. It's not any of the colors that sometimes is used with the nervous system. It's actually a traffic light. And as I said, I do like traffic lights, and I do marvel at them, and I love them. And I enjoy the light as well. So anyway, I decided to do that. And it's for me just to have that pause, right? It's a visual, and it's big enough that it's obvious, and it's just to take that pause before I walk into the room, just to check in where I'm at. If I'm stressed, tired, overwhelmed, if I'm feeling any of those things, and I need to go in and communicate something to Clara, maybe about it's time to turn off or whatever, if I'm not comfortable, I'm not giving myself the green light, I can go back and I can text it, right? We both have phones, and I can text, because that removes the emotional aspect, and that gives Clara time to process in their own way without any of my dysregulation, my exhaustion, right? So that was the first person I reached out to. Second, I do at that talking witness space with another friend. We try to do it weekly, where we both get a check-in of 20 minutes each. So again, that's another way of support. So 20 minutes I get to talk. I just say whatever I need to say without judgment, without someone trying to fix it or change it. Again, when we can speak, we're moving a lot of the stress. We're starting to process, right? We need to be able to process what's going on for us, or it does stay in our body. It does get stored. If say heightened things happen, you can either store memory in your amygdala, which is your emotional center, or your hippocampus. So the hippocampus is more like the filing cabinet. That's where we want it to go, right? If memory stays in the amygdala and it's not processed, that's when you get the reactions like PTSD. That's when the memory is still alive, right? It's still active, right? So, even for me, like there's a lot of unprocessed stuff I'm still working on from my own childhood. So until it's processed, it's still, that's what we call a trigger, right? It can just create a little spark, creates a wildfire almost instantly, right? So again, I'm talking it through, bringing it over my vocal cords. I know I'm being witnessed. I know I'm not being judged. I know I'm safe, right? So again, this is a powerful way of receiving support from someone else, and it's been just a profound support for me over the years in my life. So that's another way I reached out. And then I reached out to another parent who is so much better at holding space with their own, when they're having feelings or their kids are having these big feelings than I am. So this is someone that I receive support from. So I set up a time to talk to them, so that I can be able to hear, right? So this was where I did want feedback. I did want to hear the other perspective. I knew I needed a bigger perspective. I knew I needed support. I knew I needed from someone who has this capacity. And again, the reason they have the capacity is because they were parented in a way where they were really supported and seen and heard. So they have this in their body. I'm still learning this, So it's like, this is where we reach out and we tap into the community around us, whether it's friends, and I did talk to another woman I work with. So it was like I needed 4 plus a visual, and even this is a form of debriefing, right? So I can process it, moving through it. I can't tell you the joy that has come out of. So this big eruption has brought profound healing, connection, joy, lightness, because it's removing those fears, right? Because once I'm aware and I can put things in place, doesn't mean I'll get it perfect 100% of the time, and that's absolutely fine. It's not human to expect that, but the awareness is there, and the shifting can happen, and the changes can be made, right? So I just wanted to bring in a few new ideas of support. And of course, if you need support, come to a workshop I'm running, come to read a book and come to a book club. Even if you don't finish the book, that is fine. Come do some one-on-one, do a free discovery call to see if I'm the person for you. Don't let money be the obstacle. I know how hard it is to not have money and not be able to access the things we need. So I do have an abundance fund. First with my sessions, it's 60 or 50. You can take the concession if you need it. You do not need to ask or explain it. That's absolutely fine. And if that is still too much, I have an abundance fund. So a percentage of everything I earn goes into another fund to be able to support parents who may not have the funds to access support. So, and I love that idea, because that means every time somebody comes for help or goes to a talk or a workshop, their act of them reaching out to get support is actually supporting someone else as well. And I really, truly believe that in so many levels, that when we support ourselves, we're supporting everyone around us, right? The more I come into my own self and I go through my own healing and I'm more connected, this Clara doesn't carry it, my kiddo doesn't carry it, and it ripples out. So the abundance fund is a very practical way of rippling out. It's almost like a pay it forward, but you're receiving help yourself, and that helps other people. I think that's beautiful. I think that's where it's at in our interconnection. So yes, I just do reach out if you're struggling. I would love for no parent to be struggling alone. I know what it's like. As I said, when you parent alone, it's a very different dynamic. There isn't someone else to bounce it off. So the importance, and my biggest learning was to learn how to ask for help, receive help, and now look, I want to offer help and support to other parents, because I know how much it changes when we do get that support. And the last thing I would say, and I would ask for your support, is if you're enjoying any of the workshops, talks, if you come to me one-on-one, if even these videos, if you're getting something out of it, I am going to, in the newsletter, have a link to a Google review, because this is what helps get the message out to other people. I'm not a big advertiser. I'm not a big social media person. So it really is word of mouth, but these reviews will help other people. Like the more reviews, I guess, the more I'm seen, through that. So this is me asking for support as well, and asking, or if you want to, so you can leave a Google review, or, the stars, or you can just email me if you want to put a testimonial on the webpage. You can do it with your name, without your name, whatever. But again, so this is me being vulnerable and saying, I'm asking you for help. If this is helpful in you, could you help me in return to be able to get my message out there to help other parents? So much love to all of you, and may you truly find what supports you, whatever it is. And there's no right or wrong way to get or receive support, but may you have the courage to really tap into yourself and find out what it is you need, and to in turn be able to reach out and ask for help. And know if someone says no in that moment, it is not a rejection of you. It's not a rejection of you. Not everyone has the capacity in the moment to help, and we've all been there. So much love and support. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.